Welcome to Alfredo's Size 3 Taco Truck, a Marvel Crisis Protocol podcast, the only podcast where if you listen at night, Pat will tuck you in tight. I'm Vincent Curkov.
I'm Pat Van Value tucking you in tight.
I'm Nate Horn.
I'm disgusted to be on the podcast now.
All right, and that's
So for those who don't know,
Jokes are not my jokes are not appreciated. Understood.
all right, and we're back from Second Wind, and Alex is still missing, much like he was at Second Wind. Boo, Alex! Man, I can
He's
hear everyone
ducking.
turning the podcast off now that Alex isn't here.
No cool.
Before we get into
analogies.
But before we get into the rest of the podcast, I want to thank our sponsors. We have Terraniacs, Pineapple Probabilities, Grognard Games, Adepticon, Alarmist Brewing. Oh God, I'm forgetting someone.
Grognard.
No, I think I said Grognard.
That's by Mars.
Say Adepticon.
Adepticon.
I did say Adepticon.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm killing it. We'll come back to it.
They're
I
on the
should.
website. Go to the
Probably we
website.
had a
Yeah,
website.
absolutely. Nope, I got everybody. Longshanks.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot Longshanks.
He doesn't matter.
Like you could even use another tournament software if you tried. I think Second Wind was a really great success this year. It went very well. We did make a mistake though, as the theme of this Second Wind was trying to recognize more people, and we did that in two major ways. First, we did not have podium prizes this year. We instead went with X and 1 prizes. So every X and 1 got dice. So if you didn't win the tournament, you were all essentially treated as equal, making strength of schedule significantly less important. It still mattered for best in faction on literally one of them, I think. But I can only do so much.
Yeah.
But the other thing we did was, instead of just having 3 painting champs and then just kind of no feedback for anyone else, we printed out little business cards that said commended entry, and we gave them to everybody that was in the discussion for winning. And I did not communicate that well at all, and several people left them on the table not knowing what they were. So I cleared that up at the end, but essentially it's inspired by the Golden Demon commended entry, which is like the very first step of 4 steps now, I think, to winning a Golden Demon, is that you get a little card that says hey, you moved on to the second stage and we really liked what you did, and you can get even if you don't win, you can get that feeling of they liked me. Which is what we were going for. But I didn't communicate it well, and a lot of people didn't know what it meant, and a lot of people thought that it was a consolation prize or a participation trophy. So yeah, I make a mistake at Second Wind every year. That's what I did. Oops.
The other thing the commended entry got you is it meant Kev, with his very fancy camera and his nice light box, took a cool photo of your picture of your mini. That's now up on the Second Wind website in a gallery we put together of the winners and the commended entries. And it looks really nice. I think the photos came out super well. Facebook has been loving it. I think I posted this on Facebook this morning, and I think it's probably the most likes I've ever gotten on a Facebook post. People seem to really like how gorgeous these minis are. So that's the other advantage of winning commended entry, is you get to be in the fancy gallery.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the idea of posting in the Marvel group with someone else's work and just just collecting a bunch of likes for it. That's what I'm about.
You're cloud farming.
Absolutely.
Too bad they couldn't hear it. One of the best boards had an event, the Guardians of the Galaxy theme. When you pushed a button, it was sick. It lit up.
It's Paul. So I do love that touch. I think it's really fun. The downside to it is it's being piped in from Paul's phone, and its radius is 15 feet. So Paul's always lurking near the judges while we're trying to talk about his mini. And he's like, no, you have to be hearing the song when you talk about my mini. He'd be like, Paul, get out of here. We get it. It plays a song. I'm trying to judge painting.
Also lasts for 10 minutes tops or something like that. He was telling me, so it requires a lot of babysitting, but the effect is very cool when it's going.
Well, on the bright side, you also always know where Paul is. Like, if you need to summon him for any reason, just push the button, and he's
Yeah,
like right there.
is anyone within earshot? Wait, I know that Paul is. But yeah, it's great. Our winners for best squad was Mark Moriarty with his incredible X-Force. Our best hero was Eric West's fantastic converted Thor, where he like put the hammer in the other hand and like hand drew chainmail over the model.
That's the same hand his hammer's in.
Isn't his hammer spinning? Oh, maybe it's not in his hand, right? What is the original?
Yeah, he's
Are
been
you
holding.
gaslighting me right now?
Oh, he's holding
the
it by
little
like the
thong.
cord.
Yeah, he's holding it by the cord. It's
Yes.
Yeah.
But it is in that, like that hand is the one that's back.
okay, fair, fine.
Do you know how he did the icicle? I've had a couple people ask me about the icicle on that, and it looks gorgeous. And I thought you might know how he pulled that off.
I don't. I assume it's a UV resin based effect. Like,
Yeah.
if I had to guess, it would be like he puts a dot of UV resin on it, uh, shoots it with the light, then puts another one, then shoots it with the light, then puts another one, does that and then like doesn't let them fully cure, and then they drip a little bit, and then he fully cures them. Would be my guess,
Okay.
but I don't actually know.
Sure.
All right, and then finally, with the controversial pick of Paul Locklear's Star-Lord in the best villain category, really taking advantage of the fact that like the best hero, best villain thing was not well thought out in the year that I invented it, because we had 3 painting prizes when it was a Guild Ball event, and I couldn't think of a third category, so I went hero villain. So we essentially just have 2 singleton miniatures. But he had the best mini in that category, so
Yeah, we let people
oops.
self-identify since Marvel has a lot of heroes who become villains and anti-heroes and whatnot. So anyone can be anything.
Yeah. You're like, what is
there's
Nebula? Who
There's a
knows?
Thanos and hero, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
There's a Thanos
this is
and hero
also
and a Thanos
Paul's.
and villain.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, Paul picked Thanos and Star-Lord and put Thanos and hero and Star-Lord and villain. Which is probably actually what clinched it for him. But like I feel icky about it. All right. So if you didn't follow Second Wind, or haven't been watching the videos that aren't out yet, and we haven't recorded commentary for, who knows when this stuff's going to come out and what order it's going to come out in. Eric managed to win it, which is why he's on the cast.
Right.
So I think I've kind of given away the lead, but like, how'd your weekend go, Eric?
It was pretty good. I won the biggest event I've ever won, and I was pretty stoked about it. So incredibly lucky to do so.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, winning any event takes a lot of luck.
Yes. I got very lucky when I won Second Wind 2 years ago. I know how it feels.
Yeah, you guys can see, like, if we recap some games later, I can elucidate the times with which in very good detail where things went in my favor.
All right. So you played Defenders. I believe your last appearance with the Alfredo's crew was when I interviewed you about the Portals Defenders thing, which was like pretty novel at the time, at least amongst the wider community. And now this year you are on three major tournaments. You have won with Defenders Portals. You won NorCal Classic, CarlCon, and now Second Wind. Each one bigger than the other, bigger than the last. So I guess tell us about your list, and make sure to include why AMG should ban portals.
And you should 100% leave portals alone, because I seem to be the only one who plays it on almost every scenario. But So I can run through the roster real quick, I guess. So Daredevil, pretty bad. He's there. He's fine. He's fine. Hulk, Namor, Ghost Rider, Shang-Chi, Luke Cage, Wong, and then like splashes were Baron Zemo and what's his stupid face?
Crimson Dynamo.
Yep, Dynamo. I think that's it.
And Rhino.
Oh yeah, and Rhino. My lovely pink Rhino. Who I was happy that on the last video that I was on, many people remarked about how pretty my pink Rhino was, and so
He's very eye-catching.
his teal horn glows for you all. Yep, he was originally supposed to be riding on a like a stream of frosting, but Carl wasn't able to make that happen.
All right.
I don't really have much to say about portals besides like I'm glad it still functions and it's still there because to my benefit, the last time I was on the cast, I explained myself so poorly that no one else could really put together what I was doing. So I was able to escape with my tech intact. Besides most people thinking that I really, really like Ghost Rider, which I really, really don't.
I think the Ghost Rider thing's interesting because, like, if you look at your roster outside of him, it looks like everyone else's Defenders roster, right? Like for the 10 characters, it's like the best models in faction, and you splashed a Zemo and a Rhino and a Dynamo. Some real like bold and brave choices being made with the characters. So I think most people can understand the other 9 characters, but why is Ghost Rider in your list if, like you just said, you don't like him that much?
He's there almost solely because of demons, and I needed an affiliated character who was Incinerate immune, though that might be changing now because that was one of my reflections after Carl Khan, or after second win, was actually he got cut for Beta Ray Bill. So I needed a second. I was running way too heavily on Namor as a free grab, as well as putting my Daredevil on the midline, and I don't want to do that anymore. So having an additional 4-cost model who can stand on the midline and not immediately evaporate is like where we're gonna go. Though he does break the theme in that he's not a Hawkeye, which makes me feel kind of bad. Because I was pretty proud for like the longest time that like, okay, we have Daredevil, we have Wong, and then Hawkeyes as far as the eye can see. But Beta Ray Bill, until they print a Incinerate immune Hawkeye, then that's where we are.
All right. I'm going to pause this right now, Pat.
Mm-hmm.
What does Eric mean by a Hawkeye?
See, I think this should be on the. I think this should be on the cast.
I assume it is because, like, we've talked. I mean, I don't know if this is supposed to be bait for the mobility conversation, but isn't it just a bottle that can like use an ability to move and then make an attack and move back?
Yeah, essentially, it's a character that can like move to the far portal, shoot or attack you a bunch, and then hop back through the portal.
Yeah,
like Hawkeye.
So like really, it's just a character
actionless
with one
movement.
Yeah, exactly. So you can go through it, make 2 attacks ideally, and then do your ability to move back towards the origin portal. Okay.
So charge also kind of functions because you can just like charge to the other side of the portal, attack twice, and then portal through, portal back. So like it kind of works.
So it's like it's a Hawkeye plus. Like it's not quite a Hawkeye. Like
see, like Hulk and Ghost Rider, they're like pure Hawkeyes, like uncorrupted by
what is
these dirty attack clauses like Shang-Chi and Zemo. But
the most corrupt Hawkeye is Mephisto.
I haven't read the card yet, so
see, this is content gold. Why is this not the thing being recorded?
Oh look, this is all here for Vince to pick and choose from.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. All right.
We'll get my terms out in the world. We have that, and we have to get Zoop going, and we're good to go.
Please no. There's like 45 things that are a Zoop, and I never know what Eric is doing.
It's very easy. It's just whatever I can do on your turn. On your turn is the Zoop. Like That's what the zoop means.
It's like Johnny and his T-Dogs.
If Hellfire is zooping you, or sorry, if Ghost Rider is zooping you, like, what is he doing?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Pat, what
I
is he
don't know what
doing?
it's called. It's the crits or the crits
See?
thing.
Yeah, Wicked's
Pat
judgment.
really plays. He knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like if you attack Blade and he zoops you, what is he doing?
Pat,
I don't know.
this is the rerolls thing.
Or he's playing bats, or
No, I never.
or he's playing
Zooping
fallback,
is
or he's
never a
playing
card.
warpath.
Zoop has never been a card. It's always been a thing on their. And until they start printing characters with like multiple reactive abilities, I'm pretty safe.
Okay, my actual problem was when you were playing Asgard to me, and you were like, "I zoop you," and I'm like, "Okay, is this Loki or is this Thor? like who is zip zapping me now?"
I'm just saying, I'm zooping you. It's creating a window with which I can choose which one I'm going to zoop you with. You were getting zooped. That is happening.
Never mind.
That you were being zooped. Just let me tell you which one you're being zoop zapped by.
Okay, I'm changing my opinion here. I'm going to go zoops are great because I'm realizing that I am telling our entire community how to troll me. So I'm going to stop doing that, and I'm going to just embrace the zoops and the swoops and all that stuff.
Did I just like real life zoop you? I feel
Oh God, I hate it so much.
You did like walk right into it.
Yeah, you did get zooped. It happened.
Oh God. We need to get to the Portillo's part of this cast as soon as possible. Okay. All right. So if I can like corral this back to your list, tactics cards, you've got Brace for Impact, Sacrifice, Pentagrams of Ferala, Cover Me, Deal with the Devil, Heroes for Hire, Chi Mastery, This is a Robbery, I Am a Baron After All, and Survival. And I can think of like 3 cards here that you actively hate and you think were just mistakes when you played them.
The number one is Survival. I hate that card with a burning passion. So I cut like through my argument, I got Zach to kind of admit that there was a world where it could have possibly done a thing. And I took it like 2 times over the course of the weekend, I took it 3 times, but 2 of the times were just like straight up mistakes. The third one, it was theoretically not a total mistake. Like if Thor one-shots a Namor and has enough power to like pounce into my dude, my Shang-Chi, that it's kind of not a mistake. I played around like the 0.01%er. But yeah, overall, that card was terrible and should have just been recalled the entire weekend, and it was a giant detriment.
My favorite part about this is that I've been trying to tell people, and by people I mean Eric, that Survival is way overhyped for a couple weeks now, because like it's extremely niche, right? The only time you really need Survival is if you're getting kidnapped by Thanos, or you're playing like 2 models or 3 models narrower than your opponent. Right, if they're playing like hyper tall and you're going very wide, I think Survival's okay, and I think Survival's good if you like get a model kidnapped in turn 1, and otherwise that you can do better.
Yeah. Also, if you look, like there were multiple times where I got stuck in having to take it just because of how many character affiliated cards I have, and including into like Web Warriors when it was like completely just trash, like completely trash.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it should have just been recalled the entire weekend, and I missed it. I paid the ultimate price for thinking that Nate was wrong.
I kind of think that. So my position on Survival is also softening in that I think that it is going to be a card that is in the most rosters that sees the least amount of table time.
Yes.
I think it is like going to be incredibly niche, but like that niche is going to be at every single tournament that you play.
Well, or it could be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I brought Survival. I played it in 0 games, but I'm absolutely going to keep it in my 10 because when that situation shows up, you definitely like it's the best card in the game when it's worth playing, and it's just how often does that happen is pretty rare. But I think because it is the best card in the game when it's good, people will pack it a lot.
Because in my testing, like the reason it was there is I was obviously, like everyone else at the event, terrified of Asgard. And so I wanted to try to set up the whole like, okay, cover me on Luke Cage, survival me, have Hero for Hire up, just like auto block one free attack, sweet, auto throw you, sweet, feel pretty good about it. But the problem is that like they can still just like pounce in, and not having taunt up after that just means the thing that I did all that for still gets hit, which feels awful. And like the odds of them just still having the power to like pounce where they need to be, throw something into me, and punch me, especially since the thing I was trying to save was like Ghost Riders or Namors, you're still gonna die to all that. You'll still die to the attack plus the two things. Having the taunt up at least like allowed me to have some way to mitigate some of that, like Heroes for Hire plus taunt plus cover me. But yeah, with the survival up, it actually like hurt my chances to be able to do it just because taunt would turn off. So yeah, and also like one of the games that I played at Curkov, like the coolest thing I was able to do so far was I played it on or not at Curkov, but in one of my testing games, I played it on a Wong, just to make sure that I would have what's it called? Deal with the devil up. So
okay, that's clever.
That's fun.
Yeah, that was like the only thing that was like, yeah, my team, seeing as the team at the time was singularly Ghost Rider and Wong, like I was feeling okay about that. Like I'm getting my Ghost Rider activation, god damn it. Still gonna lose, but like we're gonna lose in style.
All right, so that's survival. I know you also are not a big fan of Deal with the Devil.
No, that card's trash. Like, the only reason you play it is you use it to make sure that you don't get tabled into Thanos stuff. That's literally the end all be all of it. Because like Ghost Rider's at his best you play him both into Thanos as well as into demons, and just hope his dice hold up. But sometimes into the Thanos stuff, you get pinned on like 4 models, and it's okay to get your Ghost Rider kidnapped if you have deal up, because it'll just turn into a Wong eventually. That, or you make your opponent have to like overextend to try to get your Wong like a billion miles away, and you get to punish him.
Oh, sure.
So yeah, like Ghost Rider, he's in the past like 2 years I've been playing Defenders. I've successfully played that card once, and I didn't know what it did, just because most people just play around it. Like Nathan was there, like at Curkov, and I was like, I don't know actually, like, can I do this with it? Can I like put it on this guy? And he's like, no. Can I go to this one? He's like, also no. Those are both days. I was like, okay, so no one days. He's like, no, you can't play that card. I was like, okay, cool. And then my Ghost Rider just died. So yeah, like most people just play around it. So never really had a reason to know what it did. But yeah, for the most part, I don't really play it pretty much ever.
My favorite is when you're playing so I've played a version of Portals a bunch of times to give people in Chicago reps back when I was in Chicago, and also just to play around with it. And my favorite is when you don't play Deal and people play like you have Deal. They just see Ghost Rider and they're like, I've never seen a Ghost Rider without Deal with the Devil. Right, so clearly you have Deal with the Devil.
Yeah, like 95% of the time I don't even take it. Like he stays so safe because of Portal plus the motorcycle thing. So yeah, you barely ever need to do it, and it's only really useful to, specifically in a Thanos, when you know you're going to give a priority and you can keep him alive, and you actively want to make use of the skull for crits thing just by standing in the middle of the table.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Yeah, pretty much it.
All right. So lastly, you want to talk about your crisis selection and why you picked which ones? Because there's a couple in here that there's one in here I'm a little bit surprised by, but
sure,
I've already heard you explain it, so we're going to pretend that I don't know.
Okay.
But
sure.
I think, why is Meteors here?
Because I like the straight up middle fights, because that's when Portals is at its strongest, and it's basically just a straight up middle fight that you get less good actions turn 1. Which my list, if you notice, it has a lot of charge models, but very few of them are online turn 1. Like I'm not actually trying to get a huge advantage turn 1. Like I don't have, my Namor doesn't have a stone. Shang-Chi can't really do anything turn 1 besides like kick stuff ineffectually. Daredevil doesn't do anything turn 1, so I'm not actually trying to get a huge advantage turn 1. But I do like the center fights that are good for Daredevil leadership, as well as also playing both Namor and Hulk. You can set up some pretty disgusting late activation turns where you can flip like all of them, and your opponent has very little to do. Like you can do some kind of cool stuff. Like if last activation Namor's there, you charge or you flip the one that you're on, charge to another one, stagger the dude, flip the one in front of him, and then walk to the third one. And your opponent can't, like, because their last model staggered, they can't really like get anywhere useful. There's not a whole lot of models that can rotate from one meteor to the other as well as Namor can.
Yeah, Namor is a pay to flip god. I think that's the other thing that's like unintuitive about meteors is like you think it's a straight up middle fight, but it's like a middle fight that still requires significant mobility. Because like I put it in my list for Adepticon because I felt like I could turn it into a middle fight and fight a bunch of things, and then I bumped into Web Warriors twice, who just got to run the bases on me, and I wasn't very good at running the bases. But this list is pretty good at running specifically the meteor spaces.
Yeah, especially since Hulk, if you can do some pretty nasty stuff with him, very similar with Namor by flipping all three while still getting 1 to 2 punches out of it. I've had multiple games where you still get both punches with Hulk and you can flip all 3 of them.
All right, seems good. Otherwise, I think this is pretty standard. So,
Pat, did we need to explain that last one to you? You looked very confused for a second.
There's a portal in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I got there.
Okay. Yeah. You start on one.
I was thinking about Hulk, not Portal Hulk.
Yes, normal Hulk cannot do that.
Yeah.
I mean, normal Hulk can usually make maybe a punch as he's going around, but the 2-punch thing is definitely a unique benefit of having the pentagrams plus his hop.
Yeah,
you might have to like put in a walk in there to get all 3 of them. I can't remember because usually I'm trying to get 2 attacks and flipping 2, but
yeah.
Yeah, the biggest difference between my roster this time and the last time was I cut Miles for Baron Zemo just because I needed more help with webs, even more help with webs, and the double reroll bubble thing has been really powerful. And the biggest problem that I had with Spider-Man is that there were multiple games where I played him into webs and I just get blocked out, even with the additional the additional Daredevil leadership, just because it's on like a D or something, it's unlikely for me to get more than like 1 reroll. So like spend 2 to web swing to the thing, kick them, they block 3, I hit like 4, do 1, like don't do that great. Whereas Zemo at least can threaten the counterattacks and do similar amount of damage on the charge. And I also cut Extremis, which was one that I was very different than the average defender on. Like everyone else was playing Intrusions or Fisk or just not Extremis. I was the only one who played 3 different shapes. I've come to the conclusion that Extremis, well, still really good for me. Also, like I'm probably like the 2nd or 3rd best on it. And it leads to games that are a little bit too quick for me, like, or a little bit too much pressure on my dice to perform because I'm just not getting as many rerolls from Daredevil. And I wanted to mitigate the weakness to webs, and also Hellfire is really good on that scenario. So I knew I was there before, and Conan beat me at LVL 2 years ago, so I did not want to have one of his best scenarios in my scenarios as well.
Sure.
Though I greatly would have liked it because I ended up rolling it into Asgard, and that felt awful.
Yeah, I mean, I think since your list has picked up like the Namor having meteors in there makes a lot of sense, right? Like I think your list was pretty good at meteors before, but now that Namor's out in the world, switching Extremis out for meteors, I think makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have Gamma before. That was the one.
Okay.
Yeah, that was I always had meteors and I always had demons because I think demons is my best scenario. Or yeah, I still do. And I thought I was the best faction in the game in Extremis, but after multiple games into Carl and having games be like incredibly close, just due to the heal and like got me on it once too.
Mm-hmm.
So it just wasn't worth the risk of having it in the scenario or having it there. Because I think I would rather, if I'm going to be a dog in a fight, I would rather be in a dog in the fighting matchups than in the scenario matchups. Because at least you can like roll your way back in, or your opponent might just not know how to play the portals, and you can just get them on gamma. Then in extremis, where it's a little bit. If your opponent knows how to play into portals really well, and they can just like either pressure the Wong and just go straight at the Wong and steal your home one and score 3-1 that way, or they just run away from the portals and make portals not useful, and we score 2-2 and they have an extract advantage. For example, like I go second, then it's kind of bad for me. So yeah, it just wasn't, the risk wasn't worth it.
Alrighty.
So I did the thing with no diagrams before, where it makes everyone confused. Gotcha. My fault.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about like portals, like lots of people haven't seen it before. And I do think it's a thing that like you can understand on paper, but having like you need a game or two against it to like really grasp how to take it apart. Do you think that even though Defenders is like a well understood, or like people feel like Defenders is a well understood faction, do you think Portals kind of makes you a dark horse in any given event?
I think I kind of think of it like a different pitch when you're a pitcher in baseball, right? You can throw your fastball down the middle where you play your 4 wide and just go over the top and beat them over the head, or you can throw like a curveball where you're like, okay, I don't know if my opponent knows how to play into this, or the terrain is really really effective for it. Like I've had one game specifically at Second Wind where there was just a size 4 truck one walk away from Wong on gamma, or actually it was demons right in the middle on a really slow extract. And I was like, okay, so between Namor, Ghost Rider, I'm going to be able to double tap with like my entire team, and they're never going to be able to see me to attack me. And so my opponent actually had to just take 2 turns worth of attrition, or the first turn and 2 additional turns worth of attrition, before he really got to like get line of sight or attacks on my team. And it's really hard to lose fights in the middle when your opponent, when like Silver Sable has to walk twice for the first like 2 or 3 turns. Same thing with Daredevil. Like Daredevil walks up to a thing, double walks next turn, and then single walks and makes 1 punch on turn 3. Like it's really hard to lose those attrition fights. So it has very much to do with the terrain as well as what it is you're fighting into. Yeah.
So we have some questions submitted by bots that we're going to sprinkle in here as well, since he couldn't make it because he's a bad friend and doesn't like us.
Sending via telegraph.
So the first one kind of related to what Vince just asked. Eric, do you think Defenders is the best thing in the game right now?
Do I? For me, yes. I don't know, if you haven't put reps in with the portal, like it's a pretty difficult list to play. And if you watch the Curkov final, one mistake makes the entire game go wacky. And like, I don't know, I would have a hard time putting it over Asgard and Hellfire. Like I think it's in the morass for the top faction in the game, top 3 for sure. But I wouldn't say it's the best. No. Like you have good tool. Like it does everything that I asked for. It just has decent tools into every matchup that I'm pretty happy to play. Like it doesn't have any specific weaknesses that I think are easily exploitable.
Well, I think it has one weakness that's pretty easily exploitable. It's the mirror and playing portals into it. We'll get into that later though.
No more talkie. No. You go.
Hey Vince.
Yeah.
Do you think Defenders with portals is the best thing in the game?
I think it's in the discussion, like for sure. It's definitely on the S tier, and I think it's like personally, I think it's 1 or 2. So like I think when you're talking about these tier lists, you have to assume played perfectly.
Yes.
So if that's the case, I think that yes. I think it is either the best thing or it is the second best thing in the game. Like
What's your number two?
I still am a Webs boy. I still think Webs is number two. I know a lot of people. It's hard for me to 100% commit to the Webs thing because I don't understand their Asgard matchup. If their Asgard matchup is as bad as a lot of people say it is on the scenario on like Gamma or something, if it is as unwinnable as people claim, I kind of don't think it is. But yeah, I think I'm Portals defenders or defenders with the option of Portals at 1 and then Webs at 2, but also you can just flip flop them. I think that's where I'm at. And I think the real thing that cements my opinion of them being one of the top things is that this faction is still low S, high A when it doesn't play Portals. Like it doesn't, like lots of players don't play the best card and are still absolute terrors with this list. Like,
yeah, I mean that's the funny thing to me is if like you look at the stats over the past 6 months or whatever, defenders have a incredibly high win rate, and I know for a fact most of the other defenders players putting stats into that win rate are not playing pentagrams. So it's like definitely an A plus faction, and then you add a portal on top, and it's too much. I think Portals is the best thing in the game, and I don't actually think any other faction is close to that. I think they're at like an S or S plus, and then there's a couple other. If we're gonna make the top 3 that Boss asks for, there's some other factions that are all good and can win events and take games off of that. But I don't think any of them can hang with Portals now that Asgard got nerfed.
I did not realize.
I don't know about that one.
Where are you at on this, Pat?
Well, I don't know. Like I'm a non-combatant. I just didn't realize how strongly you guys felt. I sort of like I'm not surprised, I guess. Like I don't know, back in the Guild days, I always thought the things that you guys played were like way stronger than they should be. And like I think it's kind of natural that people coming out of playing against Eric regularly like think Portals is a problem, especially given like he's not the only person that plays it, but he's sort of the person who plays it the highest level as far as I can tell. And I think that the idea of like defenders being strong without it and stronger with it is interesting. It's like sort of a high floor thing because like they just have good models now that if you like play okay and like play good honest Marvel against another person playing good honest Marvel, they're like in a reasonable spot, right? And then if you're like in the really high level game and you understand Portals better than your opponent who doesn't play defenders, like that's a pretty mean trick, I think. I don't think I've ever played against it, and I'm hoping to keep that.
What are you doing right after this, Pat?
Well, apparently I'm casting a game.
Heck yeah, you are. Let's go.
Yes.
Right.
So I don't know.
Okay, since we're here,
like I still think
what do we think?
Weaknesses that like at the extremes, like the fightiest of fighty teams can outfight me, and the scenarioist of scenario teams can out scenario me. I just kind of take up a lot of the bandwidth in the middle, where like I can kind of just do whatever I want for the matchup and approach it, because that's pretty much how I decide my spell and what I'm going to do. It's just based exactly on the scenario geometry turn 1 and being able to assemble be where I want to be at the end of turn 1, like all essentially just back on a portal. So
I did think it was interesting when you were talking about your scenarios that like you backed off of extremists, which I think in my sort of limited knowledge feels like the scenario team extreme secure, but you're still playing demons, which feels like the attrition team extreme secure, or like some people would argue it's gamma. I don't really know, and they sort of are in different ways. But you did mention you're playing like models specifically for demons, so in that sense it makes sense. But I think it is interesting that like you mentioned not being the most extreme in either of those directions, but you are still sort of playing one of the two scenarios that fits that.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to find scenarios that fit the right shape for the portal, while also like being as middle of the road as humanly possible.
Sure.
Like the scenarios are pretty polarized to heavily advantaged super scenario teams, or the fighty ones. And the fighty ones I think are a little bit easier to exploit with the portal, because like the wider it is, the harder you stretch the portal, and the easier it is for you to get away from me. So, and also my list does not like pay to flips more than really does not like pay to flips, except for specifically Namor. Namor's good on that.
Yeah, because you need the extra power to be going through the portal.
Yeah, exactly. So,
well, and also like on spider portals or madmen, you can flip the point and then leave it behind and put pressure on the portal and put pressure on the bunker, right? Which is not what Eric wants you to do, right? He wants to be more mobile than you, which the wide beta flips can help offset, right? Where I can just flip my home point and then leave it for a little while and go try to crack the bunker.
Yeah, exactly. Like I can the strengths of the list is being able to take my entire thing and put it on one spot and really just protect two different points really effectively. But as soon as you can take two and then just fight me over the other two, you're scoring 2 extra points on me every turn. Like, and we're both using both of our entire teams to fight. And sure, probably I get an extra advantage or an advantage out of it by killing your stuff, but also I'm losing 2 points every turn, and I don't have the resources to really like run an idiot out there and flip it. Like when you're running a Daredevil and a Wong as well, like actions are kind of at a premium. Their ability to like get out and reflip stuff is not particularly good.
All right. So with that said, what is the hardest matchup for you right now? Like you can remove this from the game. Like this. Like you can pick any faction. They can't play it. Increase your chance to win this event. What do you pick?
Asgard.
Why?
I can exactly what happened in the game against Zach. I got pinned at 15 and had to get stupid, ridiculous lucky. It's like if I don't win the priority roll, I don't think it's possible for me to win that one at 15.
But don't you not have to play it at 15?
What's up?
You don't have to play it at 15 if you lose the priority roll, right?
Well,
yeah, I don't have to play it at 15, but also I still ended up, just because of the way the blues and reds worked, I chose, the only difference between our scenarios was that what's it called? I had, our blues are almost exactly the same, so I chose my reds. And so we ended up on 15 because he got second, and it came up. So
yeah, that's tough. Getting pinned at 15 sucks.
Yeah, like it gave me a priority advantage, though. Also, I'm not sure if I gain that much by going up in points either. Like I gain a little bit. Like I gain like a cage or something, or another 4. But I think they end up still ahead in that metric if the points go up, and they're definitely better going down. So yeah, it's rough either way, whether I have priority or not. But at least priority, I get the first punch, which helps out when you have the double stagger. Like, because that was kind of the, not, I wouldn't say innovation, but the only way that I could figure out to win the matchup was to just not bring Daredevil, which I thought a bunch of people asked me after Curkov. A bunch of people like messaged me like, okay, how do you beat Asgard with defenders? And I was like, all right, here's the first thing: you don't bring a leader. And then they stopped talking to me. And yeah, they did not like my advice. And so yeah, I was like, the real all-stars there are Hulk, Namor, and Shang-Chi. And you kind of flex from there, because Daredevil just doesn't have a role in that matchup, which I think is a big reason that most people were losing that matchup, is because he can't get a punch on to put on his stun on Thor turn 1, either on the play or on the draw. He's tanky, but not tanky enough to live through like Loki kills him pretty easily because of the Mystic. the electricity attack doesn't feel good because of like 3 dice into Thor's gigantic damage pool, plus all the chip damage, like means he dies to
The chip damage is what hoses him so hard. That's like if the chip damage didn't exist, like he can just like kind of try to avoid Loki and play the game, but chip damage is just a death sentence.
Yeah, and like his attacks, even if you can build up to spender power, which is really expensive, like it caps out at like probably like 8 dice.
Yeah.
Not really that impressive. And like his regular attack is just a 5-die punch. Cool, but it doesn't really do anything to any of them. And the counterattack doesn't really do anything either. Most likely, the few times I've actually used a counterattack, I was like, okay, I'm out of position. We'll move here so I can't get a car thrown at me. Punch, and then I take a bunch of damage from the electric leap plus, or the Thor zoop, you know. And and Loki. So I end up taking more damage on than if I had not attacked him at all. So yeah, like cut him, and then the staggers get okay. Like if you have priority, you can at least start the turn with trying to stagger their Thor and mitigate some damage, and then they activate Thor or Loki, and then you stagger that whichever one activated and try to just ride that train all the way down.
So this
yeah,
is
the
another
triple
part of my
stagger is so
argument
useful.
of why I think defenders are the best thing. So Eric thinks his worst matchup is Asgard. Eric is also a pessimist. If you ask Zach what his worst matchup is, he says it's defenders, right? Because of all of the staggers that he can put out onto this list, it can really cut down on the output Asgard can put out, right? And like, I don't know which of those two factions is actually better in the head-to-head matchup, right? Like I have been convinced by Zach one way and I've been convinced by Eric the other way. But if that's defender's worst matchup, they're the best thing in the game.
There's also scenario problems. Like you can get put on bad scenarios for you and lose the webs pretty easily too. Like or Hellfire.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the other two things that really like are scary. Certain scenarios with webs and Hellfire and Asgard everywhere.
Yeah, I mean I think those are the top 4 at the game, with like 5th being X-Men and then 6th being Shield.
I might sneak an Avengers in there, but
I think Avengers are below that. But
I think Avengers are kind of just like below where X-Men are. X-Men kind of just eat their lunch right now.
Also, the thing is like Asgard is favored into this matchup, but no Asgard player is willing to do the thing that will beat this list.
If you say Thor 1, I'm kicking you off the podcast.
Do you play Thor 1?
Like, he doesn't beat the... It's not... Yeah, you can clear the staggers, and then you have way less output because the rest of your list is worse.
It's not worse. It's like almost the same.
It's super not, man.
Like, yeah, you're not playing the one broken piece. I don't know. The way to beat... The fact that the way to beat the Thor Asgard list is stagger spam, and they have a leadership that is remove stagger, and they just don't. They just go, no, I just play the broken thing and directly into its counter, and I'm still like good to beat it. Should tell you everything about how Thor 2 is way too strong.
I'm not sure it's counter. Like it's good into it, but I wouldn't say it's counter because like the stagger thing, it happens all the time where you blunt their opening rounds, but then they end up outlasting you, or you just kill them and they wake up and kill you. Like your dice have to like comply, which it's kind of funny because sometimes you're actively like rooting to roll low. Like I just want to do 1 damage with my Namor and no more, or roll Shang-Chi and like, okay, don't roll 3 or 4, roll like 2, just so that you can get your shield and crit off. Like, because the amount of times that I've accidentally killed a Thor and then just like, okay, that just cost me like half my team is a lot. Because like, so to prepare for the event, and I knew I hadn't really had a chance to play Asgard in our local mental because pretty much the only people playing it was me. And so I played a bunch of games into myself. I played, and I'm currently 4-0 with Asgard into my own defenders team. So I don't know how to fix that.
Yeah, I just think that like all the lists that I've seen that I really like into this start with Namor Hulk. And then it's like whatever other character you can squeeze. And it's like leader or whatever other thing you can squeeze into your faction. Like, like the shield version is Clock's Hulk Spectacular. And I'm sure there's like an Avengers build that's like Hulk, Namor, Cap 1 is probably what I would start off with. I think that seems pretty good into it. But like I think that's where I would start into this Asgard team. It's the thing that I've seen
we're not here to talk about Asgard. So
sorry.
A different
My bad.
question, Vince, about your teching and counter picking.
Oh my God! I have the best list.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
So,
I'm
Boss's
so
third
excited.
question. Eric, this is to me and Vince, but it's mostly for Vince now. Eric is your local. Do either of you have special stuff in your list just to deal with him/defenders? Vince, do you have anything special in your list?
Oh boy, do I. So Eric, fun fact about portals is if you were playing the mirror, the portals does not say you can only teleport through your portal and come out of your portal. You can teleport through your portal and come out of any portal. So if both players play portals, now you can pop out of any of them. And like every model is adjacent to every other model on the whole battlefield. Right? Eric, as a player that is very good with defenders and likes to have as much skill expression in a game as possible, if he sees this across the table, he will often offer his opponent, who he knows is worse at playing portals than him, hey, do you guys want to just like agree to not play portals, like just gentleman's agreement?
I've asked it once if we wanted a gentleman's agreement to not play a terrible game for everyone involved.
Yeah, exactly. And it's your Achilles heel. And so he'll offer this to you. So in the spirit of that, I have slammed defenders portals into my shield list. So I have so I'm already playing Namor and Hulk, who are defenders. So I've cut Agent Venom and Bullseye for Shang-Chi and Wong, and I've slid portals in there, hoping that Eric will give me the, you want to both agree to not play portals? And then I'll just play shield. And if he doesn't, I am just going to play the portals game into him. We'll see how it goes.
Just roll dice at each other to see who wins.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other than your negative 1 point. Like, I think I'm okay with this. Like,
yeah, the only problem with your like defenders list here, Vince, is your 15 doesn't exist.
Huh? I never have to play 15 though, right? I guess if I win priority and I pick my secures, I could end up on 15, but I can just not do that.
It's true.
I guess Eric has.
Eric both have Gamma. Now. Yeah,
we both have Gamma. Like that's exactly what happened against me with me and Zach. Like,
yeah,
I did not.
Well, if that's the case, if it's locked on 15, I'll offer it, and he'll be like, "No, sucker, your 15 sucks," and I'll just play a shield 15.
I do think it's really funny that like your only real cut, like you had to cut Agent Venom, who you're only really playing into webs, for Shang-Chi, who's like excellent into webs, right? Like, yeah, he's not affiliated Shield or anything, but that's such a lateral change, I think, for your list that like you really didn't have to give up much to do this.
I did not. I had to give up almost nothing. I'm really curious how much the Bullseye into Wong is going to punish me in some other matchup, but I don't really think it will.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be your biggest hater because I want this thing gone because it's bullshit. No one wants to play the portals on portals game. Absolutely.
We don't have to, buddy. You just gotta agree to not. It's the ball's in your court.
So see, now what I have to do is just cut a bunch of models and put a shield roster in mine. Next level, this play. Like and we just end up playing like, all right, you play defenders and I'll play your shield. Like,
there you go. Just two crippled lists swinging at each other.
We're so far down the rabbit hole.
Peak Marvel tech.
So now that clearly, Nate, your answer isn't going to possibly stand up to mine, do you have anything you do to tech against Eric?
No. It's not really a problem you can solve with like an individual model.
I agree.
So much of it just comes down to positioning on the board and understanding, like, you have to push the bunker. You can't just let him sit back there or he'll win. But you can't overextend into it, and then he picks up models for free, right? And you just kind of have to ride that line. And like, you can, the faster models you can bring, the better. Models with throws or ways to do collateral damage. Like, I actually think Agent Venom is decent into this because of how good his beam can just win you a game, right? You could bring your own Daredevil just because getting a spender in that bunker can be really good. Things like that are useful, but just like, if I took my same list and just stuck a Daredevil in it, I don't think it would really improve my win rate into this, right? Or at least have like huge upgrades. It might give me a couple percentage points, but there's no silver bullets here. So I think it's just play good models, hope I get play to flips, and then I got a Namor and Hulk. Maybe they can stand up to, I mean, that's what I did. I had to play defenders at second win, and they didn't play portals, but they played Namor and Hulk and Shang-Chi, and I played my own Namor and Hulk, and it felt bad, but I won.
Wait, what? Was that 50? You said it was at 15?
No, it was a 20.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't think
11.
my squad was correct. I think I can do better next time, but it's not here or there. But yeah, I don't think there's model changes outside of what Vince is doing of putting in pentagrams. I don't think there's specific model changes you can do to really solve this matchup.
I think, yeah, I really think it's playstyle, and like your Agent Venom pick is pretty strong. The only problem is that he's kind of squishy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Though him dying to Ghost Rider is no longer a thing because Ghost Rider's not there anymore. So maybe it's better than, yeah. So that's probably pretty strong into me. Dynamo has always been pretty good into me just because Dynamo's the king of middle fights. And then we just put the Dynamo into Dynamo fights, which is, again, not fun for anybody. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So let's cut this in half. And I think, how do you guys feel about a little back of the box?
Ooh, I love back of the box.
Eric's
How
playing, right?
Yeah. Do any of us know the rules now that Alex is in here?
I know the rules better than Alex, even when he is here. So
Excellent. All right. Nathan Bartholomew Box. What's back of the box and how does it work?
Okay, so Vince is going to read the back of 3 Marvel Crisis Protocol boxes, probably. I don't know if we're out of Marvel yet and there's shenanigans afoot, but as far as I know, there will be Marvel Crisis Protocol boxes where he has blanked out a whole bunch of words to make it hard to know what he's actually talking about. He's going to read the first paragraph, and then Pat can guess, and then he'll read the second paragraph where Pat can guess. If he gets it on the first guess, he gets 3 points. If he gets it on the second guess, he gets 2 points. If he needs to phone a friend, use a lifeline, he'll get 1 point. I do not have Valorant trivia prepared for you, so you're just going to have to talk about Marvel instead, Pat.
Fuck.
So to be nice, you only need 6 points to win.
All right.
All right.
I didn't really understand because it wasn't chaotic enough, but I'll do my best.
Nate, I'll have you know we are not running out of Marvel boxes. After this episode, there are 14 whole Marvel boxes left, okay?
Exciting.
Oh, that's ominous. We haven't done all the really fucked up ones.
Well, maybe we'll get some out of the way today.
Yeah, great. Excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and then do we want Eric and Pat to like team up and work together on this, or do we want Eric to give the lifeline clue when he needs the lifeline?
I was thinking lifeline clue.
All right, sounds good. All right, Pat, we are going to throw you a curveball to start. You ready for this? All right, this is a rare 3-paragraph box.
Right.
But we are going to start in paragraph 2. Because paragraph 1 makes it way too easy. All right.
Okay.
Unleash the power of the blank with blank. And rend the very fabric of reality around your foes. Lead from the front and leap into the line of fire with blank. Harness the might of a blank with blank. And send cars, trucks, and even buildings careening into your enemies.
I don't enjoy this. I don't think we've done the newer Asgard box. I was reminded this when you guys were talking about what came out this year earlier, and Nate referred to one of the boxes as the Spider Foes box, which I did, and then I got chastised for calling it the Spider Foes box when it wasn't the Spider Foes box.
It's not.
Well, okay. So I think
it's also they're all criminals as well.
Also, the
Sure.
Spider Foes box is a different box.
Yeah, well, that was sort of the
That's
core.
We had it last week, and it has like
No.
15 misspellings on it.
No, there's an actual like they repacked
Yeah,
the
there's
original
a doc
Spider
on it.
Foes,
Oh,
like the Web Warriors, which is not.
I need 6 points, so I can either get them all in the second. Okay, can you tell me which paragraph you're going to give me if I ask for the second paragraph?
you're gonna get the third.
Damn it. All right, let's do that.
All right. As powerful as each character is, none of them can win the day alone. It's up to you to lead them. Each game of Marvel Crisis Protocol will require bold tactics and cunning strategy to achieve ultimate victory, at least until the next crisis strikes.
That was terrible. Yeah, we're going with the Thor 2 box.
Is your final
That's
answer,
my
the Thor 2
final
box?
answer.
All right, this is not the Thor 2 box. Here you
Really?
go. I'm going to give you paragraph 1.
Okay.
Welcome, true believer, to Marvel Crisis Protocol, a tabletop hobby miniatures game of climactic combat. Assemble your team from across the Marvel Universe and lead your superpowered forces against your friends in battles of cataclysmic proportions.
What is this? The second core box? I don't.
You're very close, but wrong.
I don't know what's close to that.
Come on, Pat.
The first core box?
Yes, it's the first core box.
That sucks ass.
Woohoo!
There's no way I'm ever going to win this game without just like a running list of things that are crossed off that we've done before.
I think it would be pretty hard to lose this game with that.
Well, yeah, but like clearly I'm not cut out to win it. So.
All right. How many points has he got, Nate?
Well, I was going to say that the third
6?
paragraph could
Wow.
count as a lifeline, so he can have 1 point.
Ooh, 1 point for Pat. So generous.
I don't understand, but all right.
All right, here we go. Box 2. Blank is the leader of Blank, a technologically advanced nation that houses rich deposits of the precious metal Blank. As Blank, Blank connects to the Blank god Blank by eating a special Blank, thereby gaining superhuman abilities. Blank uses these powers to protect Blank and the world from those who would seek to harm it.
All right. I don't know which of the two models this is. And we might have already done this. Which is a little ominous. But surely fuck. So this sounds that you talked about things that feel Wakanda-y. Now my only uncertainty is if it's the M'Baku box or the other one. My leaning was the other one. I don't know who the other model in the M'Baku box is.
Listeners, Pat is leaning over and looking at his bookshelf where all of his Marvel models exist.
I'm gonna go with the Warrior Falls situation.
You're gonna go Warrior Falls, final answer?
Yeah.
It's now Warrior Falls, buddy. All right, paragraph 2, here we go. A fallen son of Blank. Blank desires to rule Blank. An expert in hand-to-hand combat, Blank also possesses enhanced strength, agility, speed, and stamina. This allows him to go toe-to-toe with his nemesis, the Blank, and makes him a dangerous threat for anyone who stands in his way. You can also ask Eric.
Well, that goes down to 1 point.
Yeah.
I can't. All right.
Also, it assumes that I know which box this is.
That's the beauty of it. The beauty of it is that I think your ability to play this game is equal to Pat's.
Okay, this feels very dumb.
It probably should.
And maybe I should have caught the theme if this is right. Is this the first Black Panther box?
Pat, is that your second final answer?
Yeah, it's my second final answer. Unless
That's correct, Pat. It's
Okay,
the
great.
first Black Panther box with Killmonger.
I guess it would be weird if the okay, was one of like the second blank in the first paragraph herb?
Uh, no, it's
Nope.
Wakanda, but
No.
There was
Well,
an herb that
the
got blanked.
there was an
the
herb
one there is
reference,
like connects to the blank god blank by eating a special blank. That's a
Yeah.
heart-shaped herb. For one blank.
For one blank. I guess I don't know. I thought they were just having a little fun and referencing the herb like a year after it was gone, which didn't make a lot of sense. All right, let's fucking get this over with.
But I mean, it's also the one that the herb comes in. It's the box that the herb crisis comes in. Anyway,
No, it makes sense in hindsight. Yeah.
all right, last one.
Pat has 3 points.
Pat has 3 points. Excellent.
So.
Offering players a new version of blank. Blank X is a spiritual conduit for the people of blank, providing him with powerful gifts for both the mind and body.
Cool. Love spiritual conduits.
When I say Pat Van Value, I think loves spiritual conduits.
Yeah. I don't know. I was thinking about. Okay, can you read it again?
Offering players a new version of blank. Blank X as a spiritual conduit for the people of blank, providing him with powerful gifts for both the mind and body.
A new version of blank. So, who do we got? All right.
Nate's losing his cookies over here.
Well, I think I figured it out. I'm really mad about your blanks.
You just I don't feel wronged here. I'm gonna go with Doctor Strange 2.
Final answer, Patrick.
Yeah.
It's not Doctor Strange 2. Next paragraph. Here we go.
It's not.
In his Marvel Crisis Protocol debut, Blank the Blank, King of the Blank Kingdom of Blank, wields his magic blank and superhuman strength
Wilds
as
his magic blank?
It's a typo he's reading again.
His superhuman strength as a bulwark between blank and blank. These two miniatures are accompanied by 2 character stack cards and 5 team tactics cards. For some reason, it's they decided to put that in there.
Well, I was thinking it was Apocalypse for a minute there, and now I'm less confident.
You don't think those statues are one of the 2 characters?
They're statues?
Tiny little guys.
I'm waiting for the APOC rework where they decide to just like ship everybody a medium base and be like, put the 2 statues on a base. Apocalypse has grunts now.
Sure. He made the finals. He doesn't need help. So I don't know. Claw.
Do you think this is the claw box?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna guess all the Wakanda leaders by the end.
Okay. Well, you're wrong again, Patrick. Do you want to see if Eric's got anything for you?
Sure.
Okay, spiritual conduit. That's the only thing I can remember. So what's the chubby dude with the fez?
Shadow King.
Oh, Shadow King.
Shadow King. That's what I guess.
That's an interesting angle.
Does that help you at all, Pat?
Does that help me at all? I don't fucking know. He does sound like a spiritual conduit. I don't know who his people are. Crime? Sure. How am I allowed to leave this segment?
You're not. Guess again, Pat.
I like that Pat's original plan here is actually better than the Shadow King plan.
That does not helpful either.
What did you say when you got it wrong? And you're like, I'm going to do X.
Guess all the Wakanda leaders. Didn't I do that?
Who's the dude with M'Baku?
I don't
Claw.
know. Yeah, that's
It's
what I was going
Claw.
for.
Wait, are there other leaders for M'Baku? Oh. Okay.
Offering players a new version of blank. Blank acts as a spiritual conduit for the people of blank, providing him with powerful gifts for both the mind and body.
This bit, I don't know.
All right, are we letting him out?
Yeah, they would just have to let
Yeah,
him go.
I'm
Alright.
lost.
The gears
Who
are
is this,
jammed.
Nate?
This is Black Panther, chosen of Bast, and Namor the Submariner.
He's not a leader.
No, I said you were closer. I didn't say that was like correct.
But if you just guessed like the
I was
only
thinking about
Wakanda
that,
pack you didn't
like-
guess this time,
Yeah, it's like,
you'd have got it.
I don't know. Spiritual conduit implies leader to me.
Well, he's got all spirit attacks.
yeah, he's got all mythic attacks.
Look, I've never played against the model. I've never looked at the card.
Also, the second paragraph, Vince left you king, and I think there's only one king in the. Yeah, Namor.
No, that can't. There's
Hey.
a model with king in his first name.
A Shadow King, like I said. Told you. Neil,
Yeah, but if it
There
had
were
been
two
Shadow King,
contenders that I picked
I'd
up.
have not let you have King.
And no, because it was actually bait. Because there's a guy named King T'Challa, who I really
yeah, that's right.
grant you was the prior answer.
Both
but
of these characters
he
are
was-
kings.
It was not the prior
It's
answer.
not the prior answer. Oh no, right.
No, King took out.
Sorry.
All right, guys. In a rare failure, Pat did not get there. Way to let all the listeners down, Patrick.
Well,
Oh, I want to go back real quick. When
Yeah.
I was mad about blanks. So the first sentence is offering players a new version of T'Challa, Black Panther, chosen of Bast, acts as a spiritual conduit. He took T'Challa, Black Panther, chosen of Bast, and turned it into two blanks.
Into
What?
3 blanks.
2 blanks.
3 blanks. Offering a new version of blank. Blank. Blank acts as a spiritual conduit.
Let's do blanks.
It's 3 blanks.
Man, I'm gonna check the
T'Challa,
tapes.
Black Panther, and Chosen of Bast are 3 separate blanks. Which,
Well, why is-
again, is 6 words that I put
Wait,
into 3 blanks. But
That's
it's only
less consistent than your normal rules, though.
no. It's
Shouldn't
3.
Black Panther,
I just
chosen
take
of
the
Bast be
compound
1
nouns
blank?
And I make them 1 blank.
But like, Black Panther, chosen of Bast is the character's name on the card. Shouldn't that be 1 blank by your rules?
Oh, I guess. Okay, yeah. The second comma confused me. I'm also reading the sentence wrong then.
Yes, you are.
Because offering a new version of T'Challa, Black Panther chosen of Bast acts as a spiritual conduit, instead of
Yes.
saying offering a new version of T'Challa, Black Panther, chosen of
no.
Bast acts as a spiritual conduit. Yeah, okay.
See?
I'm reading it wrong. The double comma, like having the comma in the middle of the name is like,
It's fucked. Yeah.
yeah, it is fact. You're right. That should have Black Panther chosen of Bast should have been 1 blank. You're correct. Thanks for catching. Thanks for
Or
looking out.
it should have been 6 blanks, because that's funny.
yeah, I would have been very distracted.
Yeah. So I do want you to win, Pat.
Well, I would have been distracted. I'm not sure it makes my odds any worse, but
All right. Well, tune in next time for the other 14 boxes in a single marathon of ending back of the box.
Is that the Christmas special this year?
okay. But we're gonna record 1 a week, right? And then you're gonna put out 1 episode with 14.
I don't know. We'll see.
I'm glad.
All right. What else we have on the docket? Alex has other questions like for everybody. Are any of Abomination Wrecking Crew or Mephisto making it into any of your lists or making you change affiliations?
Pat, you can
Pat.
go first.
I don't even have a list to put any of these things in.
All right, so your answer's no. Got it.
I might play a Mephisto, just because I think his name is fun. And you can play him with a Modok too, sort of. And I have a nicely painted Modok too. Thank you, Nate.
Wow.
What?
Fucking
Or
rude.
maybe I played it. No, Vince painted me a very nice Modok too that I stopped playing CS sooner afterwards than I should have. And I don't know, he's fine. And maybe I'll learn what a Mephisto does. So, but other than that, no, I'm not super tempted. Abomination really sounds like he should be a mummy. That's a hill I will die on.
I don't. Why?
What do you do when there's like a scary dude? You like wrap him up in stuff. Put him in a casket.
Okay,
remember.
can you connect this to the word abomination now, please?
Yeah, because like
Wait, Is the
What?
implication that the mummy's scary before it gets wrapped up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
why
know
they
that's
had to
not how
wrap
it
him up.
works. That's how my dumb brain works. Also, I feel like I don't know. It might be coming from some other tabletop game, but I haven't really thought that far about it. So no, I think the only one of those I will have any chance of playing is Mephisto, who's in a box on his own. Yes.
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 Okay. Nice. Love it.
All right, Eric, you playing any of these dorks?
Yeah, Mephisto. Because do you know what other faction also has a portal? Cabal. So it's a sick 15 where you can play 7-5-3 with Mephisto and what's his face, Malekith. So Mephisto can then like walk to the midline, punch something, and if anyone attacks you, you immediately like drop in a Malekith who will probably get some power from that punch, and then you can set up the portal, and then you can do some really fun stuff like set up the portal, attack twice with Malekith, portal all the way to the back. If they attack Malekith, you can like sack it to what's his face and pull him back, or you can move your Mephisto around using the leadership. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's like something like Mephisto is, or what? It's like Malekith is up there, and Mephisto is like on the back point, and they attack your Malekith, and so you sack it to Mephisto, and Mephisto bodyguards it back to Malekith to pull him back to the other side of the portal.
Yeah.
Yep. And they only get to attack your Malekith once and have nothing to do with their other action.
Yeah. And then you can also get your Scourge in there at the top of the next turn. You can play around your gotcha backs and stuff like that by sliding them around. Or also, if anyone jumps through your portal, you just have a Scourge standing there to stop them from doing anything useful. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I do think that list has the potential to be pretty scary. I don't think it'll be as good as Defenders because I think the character quality isn't quite there. Right. I think like that 15 sounds really good, and then it starts getting kind of questionable as it scales up and you have to do weird things to math. Whereas like on the Defender side of things, you just have excellent characters at basically every threat level. But the specific combination of Mephisto and Malekith sounds pretty fucked up.
Or you can start playing like Red Skull 1 with multiple sacks. So now you can sack attacks all over the place. So yes, and then also you have Cosmic Invigoration plus the card that takes the activation token off of Mephisto. You can activate like 3 times a turn.
I do think the Red Skull 1 Mephisto thing is legit. Because like Mephisto getting power and tokens for his mystic attack, whatever it's called, I think is really good because he's not a model that's good at making power on his own. And so letting him like kind of double dip on that one is really good. And then also he has a beam that he wants to use pretty often. And the Red Skull leadership is excellent with beams. So I think there's legit something there.
I think it's interesting at 16. And not a lot else.
Well,
I like the one where you play Drac in it. You play essentially the same list, but Scourge is Drac, and you play it at 17. Because Drac kind of helps with like the biggest problem of portals, which is like the chip damage can put you in a situation where like everyone's on 3, and all of a sudden you can have like a really bad activate or a really bad turn that can lose you the game. Whereas Drac is just like, yes, I gave this man bleed and then he was dead, and now I heal the one that I used to go through the portal.
Yeah, I think to be clear on the Red Skull 1 thing, I think there's times where you would play Red Skull 1 and not Malekith. Like I think there are certain shapes where you might not want Malekith, and I think Red Skull 1 can give you more flexibility in your list building to be able to flatten out a little bit and go wider as you need to.
Yeah. I've been playing a bit of Wrecking Crew in Midnight Suns because I'm
as the Hella replacement.
Yeah, because I'm playing in a team thing with DeLuca and Johnny has Beta Ray Bill. And also I don't like Beta Ray Bill. Like he is definitely I am becoming more and more convinced that he is probably the correct call for the safe grab in
Yeah, specifically,
Suns?
you're playing Midnight Suns, so people know
Yes.
that because they might not. And you want a 2-power medium base or bigger character to be a safe grab.
Yes, correct. So that
Okay.
I can walk, bump, pick it up, and I don't want to do that with like one of the Hulks. That seems like a little bit expensive for a safe grab. So and they're like a really weird character. They're really fast, like especially in Midnight Suns, like they're extraordinarily fast. I played against them when Alex had them, and they were staggered every turn of the game. And bump, walk short, slide medium is very, very far.
Yeah, they're kind of
uh,
like a goofy safe grab, but especially in Midnight Suns, as you said, because like they're not that durable, right? Like they're
like
definitely not as
okay,
durable as Bill, and they're like kind of as durable as Hella, but then she has the soul things that make it weird to compare.
I think they're more durable than Hella. I mean, it's hard to compare. I think they're about as durable as Blade.
Uh,
Technically, slightly less, I guess,
they're
but they're faster.
noticeably less than durable than Blade. But that's so the thing they have over the other two options is the speed, right? And so like
Mhm.
I've watched games of them where they have to safe grab and then run away, and then they spend the rest of the game just running and not making attacks, not doing anything cool, just like walk, walk, slide, and it's it's good. I think it's hard to tell if that you're really getting 4 threat worth of work out of that, but a safe grab that keeps the extract safe is useful for sure.
I've done a lot of like walk, punch them, give them stun on hit, bump away, or
Mm-hmm.
bump in, punch them, slide away, or like stuff like that
Mm-hmm.
is like really easy to end up in like bump in, attack, attack, slide out. Uh, I don't know. I think they're pretty good. They're just like a really, really weird model. I haven't gotten a lot of time with their card, but the card seems really good. I keep forgetting that their slide does the Juggernaut auto point,
Oh yeah.
which has been really useful. And like, like a lot of times people can kind of they think they can position so that it's hard to like get the auto point on them without you spending an action. But with bump, it's like trivial to go get it if you're willing to spend the 4 power and be like, oh, I would like my 1 point of damage to kill this character with your no reactions.
I think their card is good. I don't think there's a world where it's the only range 4 character throw in the game. It has to be good. I refuse to
Yeah,
believe that it's not good. You just
it,
ignore the other parts of it. Like the throw long part is
it's not
such trinket
really
text.
range 4 though,
Why not?
because you have to attack. Like, I mean, I guess you can literally what shoot them with the beam
And then play
and
the
then
card
throw
and
them
chuck them.
short.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess so.
that's like
I
I
don't know.
think.
I'm always going for like I'd rather be in 3 and throw them medium
I mean, I think
than be in
that's
4 and and throw them short. I
yeah.
think
Like I think
that's
those are
correct,
the two
right?
modes you use on the card. I think trying to get the long throws like not going to happen. And you should kind of ignore that part of it. I just think the ability to like from range 4 throw somebody short and like up to size 4 too. That's a really good throw.
Yeah. They essentially don't really do the condition thing that people like the dream condition thing. You kind of just want to make the the flat gainer put stun on somebody and then make as many beams as you can. Because
Yeah, I mean, there's a
I
world
think
here
it's
like other people in your team doing stagger, then the beam might be interesting. But I think the dream of them getting all 3 conditions is not worth going for. I'd feel better if Pile Driver made power,
it
but
would, but it's it being an extra die, it being 6 dice is like nice.
yeah, I mean, you get a dice, you get a push on it. It's nice. I don't. I just don't think
Um,
you should expect them to be able to build all the way up to throwing somebody with the beam on their own.
Having played them a bunch, I don't think they'd be good in Shield, but I want to play them in Shield anyway, so that I can play Nick Fury Jr., Nick Fury Sr., and the Wrecking Crew, and pay 11 points for 11 models. Seems pretty good.
It's a good goof for sure.
Uh, I don't know. I've been playing some Thralls. Mephisto's pretty good in Thralls, with like the
I mean,
bodyguard
Mephisto is
goofs.
just like a good model. Right. Like I've seen a couple different builds of him that I think are all good. Like I like him in Criminals. I like the Cabal list. Connor's been talking about playing him in Webs, which I think is kind of funny and interesting. His card does a lot of good stuff, and so I expect he's gonna, of the three, he's definitely gonna see the most play.
The best part of that list that you're talking about is the name of it, which is Peter Parker, Expert Negotiator, which is really good. But yeah, we got anything else?
I mean, I don't think I play any of these three models. I don't think anybody was expecting these to show up in X-Men, but I don't think they do. Like Wrecking Crew is sort of interesting, maybe, but
A-Bomb's kind of interesting, but
I mean, I think A-Bomb's an interesting model. He's just not doing anything. Like he's kind of feels more like a build around rather than something you'd put in an existing list.
What doesn't he doesn't do the Namor thing, does he? Because he's medium move, large base. Is that the same as long move, small base?
He's Ghost Rider speed.
He's Ghost Rider speed. You're right. So he doesn't get to the
So he does not do any Storm Hop shenanigans that weren't already in existence, and Namor does better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. What do you guys think? Have we been a size 3 taco truck?
Oh, he almost got out of here without it coming up, and Vince would have been the saddest boy.
I think it's a funny story, so.
All right. So we go to Portillo's, a classic Chicago hangout, and we go to get because it was like 9:30 or whatever, and we needed 9 people to go sit down for food, and we were very limited on options. And so it serves all the classic Chicago hot dog, Italian beef. And
also you've been complaining for weeks about not being able to find Giardinera anywhere. And so
you can't get it out here. They have a thing called Giardinera. It's not Giardinera though.
Just because what Giardinera means in Chicago is not the same that it means everywhere else.
But I only care about what it means in Chicago. Nobody else is clamoring for non-Chicago Giardinera.
People who don't live in Chicago who eat Giardinera do.
Okay.
They're people too.
I'm sure I just never met one.
Wow.
Anyway, so I can't find Giardinera out here in California. And so we're in line and there's a wall of Giardinera you can buy Giardinera for. And so Eric's all well, I gotta try this. What do I try this on? Because I think I can make it if I could know what it tastes like. So we get up there, we have him order an Italian beef dipped with Giardinera on it, which is it's instead of drizzling au jus on it, they just dunk it in the vat of au jus. And he goes up there and he's like, "This is what I want. Chicago me hard." And the cashier does not like that at all.
Creepy. I explained that it was the first time I've been to Chicago. I was like, I don't know. This is the first time I've been to Chicago. Just Chicago me. Chicago the shit out of me. Chicago me hard. I think I sounded a little bit less creepy that way.
All right. So he talks to her. He's like, Chicago me right in the butt or whatever. And then we we wait in the line and she doesn't like that. So he gets the wrong food.
I don't think that she gave us the wrong food on
I don't think so either. I just mostly think the story's funnier if that's true. And it's unknowable.
For the purposes of getting Chicago'd, yeah. All right. I did offend her.
Yeah, so you offended her, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna Chicago this guy." And so instead of that, you get what I've never seen anybody order, but apparently one of the other people in our group ordered was an Italian beef with a Polish sausage in it.
How is this news to you?
I I like somewhere knew this existed. I think I've seen it on the menu or whatever. I've just never seen anyone actually order it.
Oh, it's great. It's like if
I'm
you want an Italian beef, but it's even messier and weirder.
It was
So he
disconcerting to say the least. You just like bite in, it feels like sausage just out of nowhere. Like,
Yeah,
so we were
surprising.
making a joke for the rest of the weekend that every time, like, this might just be like the way that you get got in Chicago, where they just like sneak a sausage into your food, and you've just been Chicagoed. Like,
Well, the best is that Eric makes no peep about it. He's just like, "Yep, I guess this is what being Chicagoed is like.
This is an
guess this is
Italian
just
beef. It's
how
got beef
Italian
in
beefs
here.
are."
It's got some other stuff in it, but it's got the beef, so this must
I've
just
never
be...
had it before. And I
Yeah,
didn't know
it's very reasonable.
And there's
Didn't
no
know there was
giardiniera
not-
on it, so he's still never had giardiniera. And then the peak thing is we're telling this story after Second Wind is wrapped, and we're at House of Wasun in Chicago. We're at a Chinese place, and he's just talking about Portillo's, and my wife goes, "Hang on, did you just say Portillo's?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's what it's called." And we
that obstinate like belief in myself. I was dumbfounded. Like, wait, is that not what it's called?
I mean, if you look at the sign that says Portillo's, it should be
It says
pronounced
Portillo's.
Portillo's. No, that's like
No, you're
the
wrong.
Midwest loves taking European names and other names and then mangling the pronunciation because none of you fuckers know how to speak. It absolutely should be Portillo's.
No, this is
Portillo's doesn't
not-
make any
well,
sense.
This is not a Versailles situation. How is somebody?
Isn't it?
It's somebody's name. That's how they pronounce it.
Yeah, it's just some
Portillo's.
dude's name. Yeah.
Well, he pronounced his name wrong then. That's fine.
This is not like the people at Apt where they call it ABT.
Wait,
It's a deep
I
cut.
am glad you went to the same reference because
What?
that's what I was going to go for. It's
Okay,
a appliance store in the Chicago area that's
Okay.
like well known, and everyone that I've ever met calls it ABT, but it's Abt and it's a dude's name. But nobody calls it that except presumably the people that work there.
Okay.
So yeah, that one there's no possible way to know. There's like no bait other than it being a weird last name to say.
I mean, it is like a capital letter and then all lowercase. So like,
Is it? I guess I never really pay attention to the branding.
That's what they have on their website. Yeah. Like really
But-
distinctly lowercase b too. They're trying hard to.
yeah, I
Get
mean,
the
they're
message
really
across.
like, please pronounce this correctly.
Interesting. Yeah. Huh.
But yeah, so all of us just assumed I had heard him say Portillo, and I was like, I'm just mishearing him. It's me. This is a me problem. And then my wife just calls him out, and so now Eric's name is no longer Eric Wong. He is now Portillo, the greatest Defenders player to ever live. So if you see him at LVO, make sure you come by and say hi to Portillo. He
The
loves
more
it.
Italian you make the Portillo, the
Yes.
better. Right.
Yes, Portillo. I would like to see your Defender supporters list.
He's ready for the Italian WTC team next year.
I was trying so hard to not be like, oh, and by the way, congratulations to the Italian
That's true.
WTC team.
The Curkov.
We're all celebrating here the only way we know how. Oh, all right.
I think with that, we should get out of here before we get in more hot water.
Yeah, we've been a size 3 taco truck.